I guess what I'm saying is you should make friends with prostitutes and then you'll seem really boring. That's bad advice. I'm Karley from Slutever, and I'm here to answer some of your sex advice questions. Disclaimer that I might give some triggering answers. Okay. So question 1 is from Sarah in Oklahoma. She's 25. She says, "Dear Slutever, I'm really open about my sexuality in general, but I'm scared about the implications of talking about my sex life to my friend group. My first thing is that you maybe need new friends. Talking about sex is a huge part of your social life and your interaction with other human beings. Who are you going to talk to about your sex life if not your friends, right? It's like you can't talk about it with your parents and your family and your coworkers. Being open about your sex life in a way acts like a filter, and only enlightened people may pass through it, right? So it's like an amazing way to sort of gauge who you should be hanging out with. Some people will never respect a woman who's openly slutty. Some people will never respect a woman who writes about sex. That's okay. Not everyone has to respect you. So Sarah, what I'm trying to say is, I really do think that you should be open about your sexuality and not worry about your friends, because you have a long life ahead of you. You're young. Find some prostitutes, make friends with them, and then your problem won't be whether or not your friends are gonna like you because of your sexuality. It's gonna be whether your sexuality is actually too basic. That's the problem you wanna have. This question is from Paul in Minnesota. I have fantasies of being submissive to my girlfriend. Is that bad? Paul, that is not bad. I think that we focus a lot on the ways in which women are oppressed sexually, and we don't give enough attention to the fact that men have it hard too, right? We expect men to be competent and proficient and knowledgeable about sex and also dominant, when it's well, where are they supposed to get this information from? Why should all men be dominant in bed? I think that it takes a lot of courage to be submissive in bed as a man. And I also think that a lot of women would love the opportunity to be dominant in bed if they had a partner who was ready for that. Speaking from my sort of non-sex expert pink chair, I actually think that straight men would be better in bed if they've taken a dick or a dildo before. You wouldn't be a doctor without going to medical school. Why would you think you can fuck someone without being fucked? It's simple math. You should be less worried about whether it's okay culturally to be submissive, and be more worried about finding the right woman to dominate you. This is from Olivia in New York. Hi, I'm a sex worker. How do I tell my boyfriend about my job without freaking him out? So this question is actually really important to me because it's a question that I have dealt with personally and that a lot of my friends have dealt with personally. I've worked in various forms of the sex industry, and so have my friends, and this is a question people ask all the time. And I think that as I've gotten older, I've realized that I think disclosure is really important, because I think that it allows you to have more agency in terms of who you date and who you spend time on. I don't know if you're familiar with the author Christopher Ryan. He's a friend of mine, and he gave me this amazing advice recently. And he was like, there came a point in my life when I said to myself, look, from now on, I'm only gonna offer people what I have to offer. I'm not gonna pretend I can be a different person for a relationship, that I am a different person for a relationship. I'm just gonna be open and honest with someone right from the beginning and say, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is what I have to offer. In a way, it stops you from wasting your time on people who are never gonna be interested in you because you're a sex worker. Flat out, some people will never wanna date you because you're a sex worker. That is fine. Those are not the right people for you, right? There are plenty of people out there who are gonna be open to the idea of it. Date 2, date 3, it should be something that you incorporate into your explanation of who you are. I also think that it's really important to frame it in a way where you are proud of that. So if you're gonna say, oh, I'm a sex worker, oh, can you deal with that? They're gonna think oh, she's insecure about this, she's not comfortable with this, she's not confident about this. That's gonna influence how they interpret it, right? But if you're I'm a sex worker, I like what I do, this is why I do it, this is how important it is to my identity, just be open about it. Don't be apologetic about something that you're not apologetic about.